Welcome back to the Rachel LaForce Show. That's right. It's me. This is Rachel LaForce, and this is my show. I think this is the first episode where you are not going to have the old school Rachel LaForce intro music. I think I may make a little jingle. I don't know if I should. But I think I'm going to. This is going to be a quick tune-up, just a little check-in. If you've been listening to the podcast in order, you're probably like, Rachel's going through something. And to you, I would say, observant. So I've been sharing a lot about changing up routines, rebirth. What does it mean to try again? What does it mean to try again from, even what does it mean to try again from a place of like expertise? You know, like I would like to think I do. I have my 10,000 hours in a lot of this work that I do. And in many ways, I'm doing it again for the first time. So this has kind of been the trajectory of what we've been talking about since around March, right? We're getting ready to go into June, and there's just so much to enjoy. And if you are not signed up for the newsletter, please do. The June newsletter is just fun. So I wanted to leave you with, how do we keep things consistent when life is inconsistent, right? Ugh, how does she do it? She's just breaking the mold. Because what I've noticed is a lot of times people will start things, they're super excited, and then one day goes by, they don't do the thing they said they were going to, another day goes by, you know, the old New Year's resolution situation, right? We all have goals of things that we're going to do, and then we don't do it consistently. So we're like, oh, well, then I guess I just won't do any of it, which seems incredibly all or nothing. No judgment, just saying. I was the kid that would put I would either not want a bubble bath, or I would freak out if my mom wouldn't pour the entire thing of bubble bath in my bath. Okay. So I'm here for it. It takes a lot to learn a strong sense of balance. And that is really what consistency is about, right? If you've listened to this podcast, you've probably seen the meme where it's like, this is what consistency looks like, right? And every day the circle is maybe is at different levels of being filled in. But then over time, if you put all of those circles together, then it's like much more full than not, right? If you haven't seen the meme, you're like, what is she talking about? Just look for memes on consistency. You'll find them. All those smart, spiritual artists that are out there putting out all the memes. And that's really what consistency is. It doesn't mean that you're going to do the exact same thing every day. Action steps in the direction of what's best for you is not going to be the same every day, because your life is not the same every day. And in fact, life is disruptive. That should be the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for coming. See you next week. But life is disruptive. It is just by its general nature, right? I was on the way to work, I got in a fender bender. Okay, great. Now, that's not even an inconvenience for the day. Then you're on the phone with insurance, and then that becomes, that disruption then carries through for 30 to 60 days, depending on how efficient your car insurance is, right? It's and then, oh, we didn't know this thing was going to come up, or, oh, I didn't know these people were coming in town, or, oh my gosh, the pipes froze. Now we have another thing, or, right? Insert what has happened to you in your life here. And that is life. I am guilty of always being frustrated by a thing that comes up, because I'm oh, well, I'm just looking for everything to be mellow. And now that I've accepted, oh, that's a fallacy. That's not true. Even the idea of oh yeah, we just kind of been coasting for a while. Things have been okay. Sometimes we can get to that place. But the idea that we have set these goals, these routines, these action steps towards a bigger thing that we want to create, whether that's I'm ready to start dating again, or I want to switch careers, I want to open a bakery, whatever it is for you, right? We have to know that we're setting it in a place that's inconsistent, right? So that's the first hurdle. Because you are setting yourself up for failure if it's every day I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and then I'm going to do a cold plunge, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make a green smoothie, and then I'm going to make it's good luck, right? Also, your energy levels are going to be different every day. And especially if you're a woman, then we know that you have a whole different, like in addition to a circadian rhythm, you have one based off of your menstrual cycle. So there's all of these different things that externally we're experiencing and internally these cycles that we are experiencing that will shift or renegotiate what the consistency looks like for us. So honestly, I could just leave you with that and be like, go forth, right? Because you have to learn to accept that. And until you learn to accept that, that's the first part, then it's, yeah, like I said earlier, good luck. Because then with that acceptance, that submission, whatever word you use, then the second part of that is discernment and compassion. Discernment is, what is the difference between, oh, I've worked out 5 days in a row, my body needs a rest, versus, I just don't feel like it. Because there's a difference. There's a difference. Hard to see, hard to discern, but there's a difference, right? What is the difference between, I'm actually really missing that person and want to reconnect with them, and that is what is in my best and highest, versus I just miss them and I'm bored, so I'm going to call them even though it's not in my best interest. It's that discernment of learning, and discernment is just brutal honesty, frankly. Like when it comes to yourself, it's just being brutally honest. It's, hashtag tough love, like it's like just like if you're not good at doing that for yourself, it's like, can you just imagine that like somebody else was there and they're like, oh, really? Or you're just lazy or you need some rest, right? Like there's just a discernment troll that shows up and like lets you know. It's like, oh, really? Is that what you think? You want to call back Frank? Like whatever it is for you. And so that's a huge part, is that you can begin to discern what is it that I actually need, right? Because sometimes you do need a rest, or it's like, you know what? I do want to eat a piece of pizza. That's okay. It's not, I'm going to eat 7 pizzas today. But it's okay that I want to have a slice, whatever that balance is for you. Again, you don't have to dump all of the bubble bath in the tub, right? So the first part is the acceptance, the submission that life is disruptive. The second part is learning this tough love, that discernment aspect, in order to discern what is in my best and highest, whether that's rest, whether that's a reset, right? Sometimes that's integration. I've been sharing a lot on my socials about, and I talked all about it last week in the podcast, about this new routine that I'm setting up for myself. The routine is up at 5 a.m. and in bed by 10 p.m. Every day is different. That mark doesn't always get hit. But as long as I know that's what I'm aiming for, then, it's like I'm in the arena, right? So then comes that third part, which is the compassion for yourself. Okay, maybe the tough love part of you knew you weren't supposed to call him, you big dumb idiot, right? Like you knew you weren't supposed to, but you did anyway. That doesn't mean now that you have to be like, well, now I'm going to call him again, or I'm going to go over there and sleep with him, or I didn't go to the gym today, so now I'm never going to go again. Literally in every single moment, you get to choose again. You get to start again. And in fact, that's actually easier than being like, well, throwing all the bubble bath in, right? Like it's the compassion of knowing, okay, I didn't make the best choice, and that's okay. Now I get to make a new choice, right? And even learning compassion for yourself, because it's not letting yourself off the hook. It's not, everybody's self-love. All these people out there that are just like, self-love, we've just really taken a turn with that. Because now it's just like, everything I do is right and everyone else is toxic. Like I've never met anyone that's just like, that was a toxic relationship. That was toxic. That was codependent. They're a narcissist. Like we're just throwing words around. But yeah, compassion is slightly different. It's holding yourself to a high standard while also giving yourself a hug when you don't hit that high standard, right? Little clunky, but hey, she came up with it on the spot. You know what I mean? How does she do it? She'll refine it. It's compassion. And then with that is the sixth part, which is like, I think one of the other ways that you will see what's actually important to you is what are the things you're willing to do when it gets hard. And that is this integration part, right? Where over the weekend I was like, man, I am wrecked, which would make sense. I have two under two, one is 2 months old. I'm still breastfeeding. I'm pumping. I'm trying to do all these new things. I have a business. I have multiple businesses. It's a lot, right? Wherever you are, life is a lot. Life is disruptive. So I was like, that it would make sense that I feel like I was just beaten with a bag of potatoes in a public arena. Okay. I'm done. I'm out for the count. And that's okay. So it was like, all right, we're trying a lot of new things at once. And trying any new habit is difficult. Just pick one, and that's hard. Right. And like I was joking where I was like, I've quit drinking, I've quit smoking, and I would say this next level that I'm trying to integrate into where that it is normal and natural for me, this is the hardest fucking thing I've ever done. It is harder than anything to delay the gratification that you want, right? And then even being like, is that what I really want? And that's what I think this consistency does, the routine does, is you will find out very quickly, are the things that I'm creating my goals around, my routine around, my lifestyle around, are those the things I actually want? Right? Like when people talk to me all the time, they're like, hey, I want to get into comedy or want to do this. Like, do you have any suggestions? And I was like, yeah, you need to figure out if you really want it. Because this is not a thing. Like even people have this idea of like, oh, and then once I get it, then I will blank. It's like, no. Then once you get the thing, then you got to do the work to maintain it. I mean, that's the same thing. Everybody's like, I'm single. I want a relationship. Sure. And I don't mean to like shit on the feelings of being alone. I've been there, right? It's easy to be like, I'm married, I have kids, but like, sorry, you're single, like I don't mean to do that. I'm not making light of it, but it is, again, it's that brutal honesty of like, oh, you think you want a relationship or you just want somebody to make you feel cute? Like a relationship is meaning like you got to take care of your shit so that you don't throw it on somebody else. You got to take care of your shit while they take care of theirs so that you guys can take care of each other. That takes a lot of work. Healthy, strong relationships that are long lasting, it's work. So, all of these things take consistent action once you then even attain them, right? So it's like, that's why this kind of how-to or the bullet points of this today really go in a circle, because it's like, okay, then, after compassion comes, how much of this do I really want? It comes that integration, that refinement, right? What of this needs to move? What needs to shift, right? Do I need more alone time? Do I need more time with my kids? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need, like, whatever these things are, that once you're in this kind of loop of doing the work, you'll start to see what are the things that are growing, what are the things that are building within you, and what are the things you're like, oh, maybe I don't really need that thing. Or you may find like, oh, holy shit, I don't actually want to do this, which is completely fine too. Now you know. I feel like I was talking about that with my co-producer of this podcast, and I was saying there was a lot of stuff that we were working on and building towards this year, and I was like, we're going to scrap it. We're going to pause it. We're going to scrap it. And I was like, it's amazing when you're actually in action, how many things you'll realize like, oh, we didn't need it. And that's the great thing about consistency, discipline, and routine. Because a lot of the reason why you haven't gotten to the place that you quote unquote want to be is like you just held on to too much shit. Like I always say, it reminds me of, I've used this before. So if you've listened, here's another LaForce anecdote, but it's like all of those action movies when they're on the plane and it's like, we don't have enough fuel to make it. They're like, what are we going to do? And they're like, throw everything off the plane, right? And then they have to discern like what they're throwing off the plane in order to like make it to the island, or, it's like, for what, I feel like they're always president movies, they got to like make it to the White House or whatever. So that's what you have to do. How much shit have you been holding on and being like, oh, this is a thing we need. This is a thing we need. Or all these things that you're doing in your daily, weekly, monthly routines. It's like, you don't need that. You don't need it. right? So that's what discipline and consistency shows you. It's boring. It is boring to be consistent. It is boring to do the same thing every day. But again, that's the gift of delayed gratification, is it's actually the fastest way to where you want to be. Because over time, it'll show you what's important, what's not, who's important, what's not. Like, just all of these things about yourself will be revealed to you. And we're trying to cheat and cut corners and do it all these other ways. And then it's, I always say it's like one day or day one. And you're like, oh, well, why did I? And then it's like, dude, you could have just started and look where you would end up. Again, I was talking with my co-producer and we were looking over like quarterly goals. And again, doing the metaphorical throwing shit off the airplane. Cause I was like, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. Because when you are in a routine, I'm always shocked how long things take. Even getting ready today, I was like, man, people do this every day. Like shave the legs, wash the whole body, do the whole hair, then a full face of makeup. Who's got time? You guys are scheduling 2 hours every day to do this? I'm like, dude, because by the time I wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, do my morning pages, prep food for the day or whatever the boys need, get them up, get it going. I'm like, it's 11. It's 11 a.m. already. Now we're going into lunch. Then all of a sudden it's naps. Then we're back up. I record one thing. It's 6 o'clock. It's ready for dinner and time to go to sleep. So you don't have as much time as you think you do. Your time is valuable. And in fact, when you're using your time to your best and highest, you will find that you actually do have enough time to do the things that you want to do. I hear that from people all the time. Oh, I wanted to, but oh, I went out with friends, or oh, I went out drinking, or oh, I did this. And not saying that you shouldn't be social and you shouldn't enjoy your life, for sure. Again, get on that newsletter. June is all about joy. I'm going to be talking about it in the newsletter. So for sure, I'm not saying it's that you have to just, I think that there's a lot of freedom in discipline. Because it frees you up. Then when you do have those times of being social or having fun or whatever, you're not enjoying it because you already know that you did the work. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the 4 principles, the LaForce bullets for sticking to your goals, your routine, and sticking to that discipline that are going to make all of your dreams come into fruition, right? It sounds very flowery, but it is. You know what I mean? 2 things can be true at once. Here we go. Here are the 4 LaForce bullet points for sticking to those goals, sticking to your routines, and getting to the other side of fear. Because that's so much of this, right? So the 4 bullet points. The first one is accepting that life is disruptive. Your routine, your goals, they're going to be disruptive. You're going to have injuries. But it doesn't mean that you quit. It just means that you see it, you adjust, you keep it moving. The second one is discernment, right? What is the difference between, oh, I need rest versus, oh, I'm just being kind of lazy, right? Learning that discernment for yourself. How many days do you take off, right? Some people like to work out on vacation. Some people don't. What is that discernment for yourself, that tough love of really being brutally honest with yourself? The third part is compassion. Can you have compassion for the mess ups, for the things that don't go right, for the failures, can you hold yourself in a high esteem and love on yourself that you're trying to do really hard things? And in order to stay consistent and to have that longevity of these things, you're going to have to be compassionate with yourself. The fourth part is refinement. After a while, you're going to be doing these things long enough and you're going to learn what do we need on the plane and what do we don't. So by doing that, you can refine and kind of tweak over time. What are these goals? How do you want to shift your lifestyle? What do you want in your life? All of those things. And that's how you're going to create consistency over time. That's how you're going to change your life. It's going to be small steps every day. It's going to be looking back and going, oh, I didn't actually need that thing. Oh, I need this thing. It takes attention. And that's the thing. So many people think about their dreams. They think about what they want. But if you look at their day, they're not paying any fucking attention to the things that they say that they want. And, it's I think everybody now also it's oh, but I'm manifesting it. Just because you put a picture of it up on your wall, that doesn't mean jack shit, right? If you're somebody like me and, I identify by calling it the universe, but the great mystery, whatever that is for you, God, however you identify, right? Your higher power, the creator. I show trust in the universe by taking the action. If I trust that I'm going to hashtag manifest something, I have to show up. I have to do that action, right? And trust that over time, me doing my part, that other part is going to materialize. So the things that you want exist. The things that you want, I always say it's your blueprint. It's in you. You can have it and you can do it, but you got to show up and you got to do the work. Guys, as always, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, please leave me a review, share it with a friend. Like I said, June's newsletter is going to be a lot of fun. So jump on. And even if you're listening to this many, many moons from now, still, are you on the newsletter? Jump on that newsletter. It comes out to you twice a month. Lots of fun stuff there, so you can check in on that. You can go to all of my offerings, all of my one-on-one coaching sessions, shows, everything else I've got going on, RachelLaForce.com. I'm on all of the socials at Rachel LaForce. Find me, love on me, send me a DM. Be kind to yourself. Tune in, tune out. Love you, mean it.